Hi friends, welcome to another RedditRev episode. Please subscribe and hit that like button if you're enjoying the content, and please share it with your friends if you can. I'd really appreciate it. Also, please leave me a comment to let me know what you think of the episode. Now let's get started with today's stories.
My wife finally admitted to an emotional affair and I feel validated. My wife and I have been struggling for the last few years. When she FLRSD started working for a new boss, even though they were remote, I could tell the relationship was too familiar and casual. We discussed it openly and I politely asked her to scale back the personal relationship to address my concerns. She acknowledged and said she would do that. Fast forward another 6 months or so and I discovered that her relationship has changed, but for the worse. They were now messaging in apps where they could hide the messages, regularly deleting messages, and my wife was regularly taking sexual photos of herself. I confronted her about the deleted messages and the attempts to hide the relationship, and she basically said 1, she had not actually done anything wrong, and 2, she liked the attention because that is who she is and I have to learn to live with it. I told her she is having an emotional affair and she denied that was true, but that it was innocent flirting and that I was essentially a jealous husband and I don't like her being around any other men. I disagreed, but asked her again to limit her relationship to this boss to professional only. She claimed she would work on it. A few months later, my wife and her boss had a falling out over work issues and the boss left a few months later. At the time, my wife was devastated. She tried to keep it away from me, but our kids told me that she cried for a few weeks and had been upset about her boss leaving. I acknowledged it briefly to her but did not make a big deal out of it. After that, he reached out once right after he left and she ripped him for essentially leaving her. The two didn't talk again for 6 months. My wife decided to change jobs soon after and found a new job. She kept asking me if the new job was the right choice, but I just told her I would support her in whatever decision she made. She took the job. Our marriage did not really improve. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I was still unhappy. My wife was frustrated that I didn't just worship her. I then realized that she was making changes to fix a problem we never discussed. She thought she could skip the hard part of acknowledging her affair and just make changes like it never happened. She gave a generic answer that she let work be more important than her marriage and family. When I pushed for details of what that meant, she refused to give more. This made me furious because she refused to acknowledge that she had engaged in behavior that was impacting me, and just swept it under the rug. Now that the behavior was no longer available, she was making changes but still not addressing the harm to our marriage. This last fall, I came across a page of web searches for happy ending massages, sexual massages by men, and sensual massages in our local area. Sexual massages by men, and sensual massages in our local area. I confronted her and she claimed that it was just a curiosity and she never acted in anything like that. A little more research and I found she had been messaging with a local masseuses regularly. When I asked her about this, she claimed that I knew about him and she told me he was coming to our home once to give her a massage. This conversation never happened. I asked if anything sexual happened and she adamantly denied. I asked to see the text messages and she said they were casual massages about availability but had deleted them. I know that each text thread was about 15 minutes, 20 messages back and forth. My wife swore she would not get any more massages until I was comfortable, but nothing inappropriate happened. I told her she could make her own decision, but erotic massage was cheating in my view. About a month ago, I discovered that my wife had been messaging with new masseurs. I was furious. I asked my wife about these people and she admitted that she had messaged them out of curiosity but never did anything. Most of them were located out of state. She admitted that it was a sexual fantasy of hers but that she would never act on it and messaged them in a moment of weakness. I don't know what to do about this. Fast forward to now. I do not believe my wife speaks much with her old boss, but they speak occasionally. I discovered that my wife received an explicit photo from her former boss. It was sent to her while she was out of the country on a business trip. When I found it, I gave it a couple days and then confronted her. She claimed it was sent as a joke and they do not have a romantic relationship. Around the same time, I discovered she was recording erotic photos and videos but never shared them with me. She claimed she was going to share them with me in the future but wanted to take them because she felt sexy at that moment. I asked to see the messages but they had been deleted. I asked her why she didn't at least share that it had happened and she claimed that I would be upset. I agreed, but it would have been better than how I felt now. I reiterated that her relationship was hurting me and her related choices made it clear that she valued her former boss over her marriage. It also validated the concerns I had voiced for years. She claimed to have changed that relationship so that her boss meant nothing and she scolded him for sending the picture. I told her that most people would not carry on any communication if it was harming their marriage and was unnecessary. She asked me if I wanted her to block his number and then I told her she can make her own decision, but I wanted transparency on whatever she decided to do. After thinking about the actions, I decided that her boss wife has a right to know what he is doing, especially if unsolicited. I told my wife and she was very upset by the possibility of me sharing this info with his wife. I posted on Truthmachist about this and most people said I need to face the fact my wife is a cheater. I had a long talk with her after that post and demanded to know what was going on. She gave me the same answers, but I insisted to know the nature of their relationship. Eventually she agreed that the relationship was an emotional affair and that her boss' recent communication is an attempt to rekindle that, but she has no interest and is committed to our marriage. In a weird way, hearing her admit that made me feel instantly better. I'm not saying all is forgiven or that we don't have a lot to work on, but hearing those words calmed my heart. I knew our marriage was struggling, but the second-guessing my gut instinct was causing me to lose sleep, unable to work, and unable to trust much of anything. I now realize I can trust that feeling, regardless of what my wife is saying. I don't know where to go from here with my wife, but I am learning to trust myself. Anyone else have a similar experience?
I hope you enjoyed our video. It's always a pleasure creating these stories, and if you liked what you saw, please take the time to show your support by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you haven't already done so. Sharing with your friends is also greatly appreciated. Let me know in the comments section below what you think of our videos. I'm all ears. Be sure to check back soon for more original Reddit stories every day on RedditRev. Until then, stay awesome, my friend.